And part of making sure our young people meet these high standards is designing tests that accurately measure whether they are learning. Now, here too, there's been some controversy. When we talk about testing, parents worry that it means more teaching to the test. Some worry that tests are culturally biased. Teachers worry that they'll be evaluated solely on the basis of a single standardized test. Everybody thinks that's unfair. It is unfair. But that's not what Race to the Top is about. What Race to the Top says is, there's nothing wrong with testing, we just need better tests, applied in a way that helps teachers and students instead of stifling what teachers and students do in the classroom. Tests that don't dictate what's taught, but tell us what has been learned. Tests that measure how well our children are mastering essential skills and answering complex questions. And tests that track how well our students are growing academically so we can catch when they're falling behind and help them before they just get passed along. Because of Race to the Top, states are also finding innovative ways to move beyond having just a snapshot of where students are and towards a real-time picture that shows how far they've come and how far they have to go. And armed with this information, teachers can get what amounts to a game tape that they can study to enhance their teaching and their focus on areas where students need help the most. Now, sometimes a school's problems run so deep that you can do the better assessments and the higher standards and a more challenging curriculum, and that's not enough. If a school isn't producing graduates with even the most basic skills, year after year after year after year, something needs to be done differently. You know, the definition somebody once said of madness is you do the same thing over and over again and keep expecting a different result. If we want success for our country, we can't accept failure in our schools decade after decade. And that's why we're challenging states to turn around our 5,000 lowest performing schools. And I don't think it's any secret that most of those are serving African American or Hispanic kids. We're investing over $4 billion to help them do that, to transform those schools. $4 billion, which even in Washington is real money. This isn't about, unlike No Child Left Behind, this isn't about labeling a troubled school a failure and then just throwing up your hands and saying, well, we're giving up on you. It's about investing in that school's future and recruiting the whole community to help turn it around and identifying viable options for how to move forward. Now, in some cases, that's going to mean restarting the school under different management as a charter school, as an independent public school formed by parents, teachers, and civic leaders who've got broad leeway to innovate. And some people don't like charter schools. They say, well, that's going to take away money from other public schools that also need support. Charter schools aren't a magic bullet, but I want to give states and school districts the chance to try new things. If a charter school works, then let's apply those lessons elsewhere. And if a charter school doesn't work, we'll hold it accountable, we'll shut it down. So no, I don't support all charter schools, but I do support good charter schools. I'll give you an example. There's a charter school called Mastery in Philadelphia. And in just 2 years, 3 of the schools that Mastery has taken over have seen reading and math levels nearly double, in some cases triple. Shaka Fatah is here, so he knows what I'm talking about. One school called Pickett went from just 14% of students being proficient in math to almost 70%. Now, and here's the kicker. At the same time academic performance improved, violence dropped by 80%. 80%. And that's no coincidence. Now, if a school like Mastery can do it, if Pickett can do it, Every troubled school can do it. But that means we're going to have to shake some things up. Setting high standards, common standards, empowering students to meet them, partnering with our teachers to achieve excellence in the classroom, educating our children, all of them, to graduate ready for college, ready for a career, ready to make most of their lives. None of this should be controversial. There should be a fuss if we weren't doing these things. There should be a fuss if Arne Duncan wasn't trying to shake things up. So Race to the Top isn't simply the name of an initiative. It sums up what's happening in our schools. It's the single most ambitious, meaningful education reform effort we've attempted in this country in generations. And I know there are a number of other steps we need to take to lift up our education system, like saving teachers' jobs across this country from layoffs. And I'll continue fighting to take those steps and save those jobs. But I'll also continue to fight for Race to the Top with everything I've got, including using a veto to prevent some folks from watering it down. Now, let me wrap up by saying this. I know there's some who say that Race to the Top won't work. There's cynics and naysayers who argue that the problems in our education system are too entrenched. They think that we'll just fall back into the same old arguments and divides that have held us back for so long. And it is true, as I've said since I ran for president, and that everybody here knows firsthand, change is hard. I don't know if you've noticed. That's why I've got all this gray hair. Fixing what was broken in our healthcare system's not easy. Fixing what was broken on Wall Street's not easy. Fixing what's broken in our education system is not easy. We won't see results overnight. It may take a decade for these changes to pay off. But that's not a reason not to make them. It's a reason to start making them right now, to feel a sense of urgency, the fierce urgency of now. We also know that as significant as these reforms are, there's going to be one more ingredient to really make a difference. Parents are going to have to get more involved in their children's education. Now, in the past, even that statement has sparked controversy. Folks say, well, why are you talking about parents? Parents need help too. I know that. Parents need jobs, they need housing, they need, in some cases, social services. They may have substance abuse problems. We're working on all those fronts. Then some people say, well, why are you always talking about parental responsibility in front of black folks? And